All right, Tony, it's Tom Kelly, and I'm with the audience at The View in the Bahamas. I know you're having a long day, your hip is healing, and we know it's your birthday. And come over here, right? Where's she going? Where is she? Ready? Ready, lead it. Here we go, lead it, go, and go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, God bless you. Happy birthday to you. We love you. We do da-da-da-da. We love you. We do da-da-da-da. We love you. God bless you. Happy birthday to you.
Here we go. Trigger warning. Spoiler alert. Man, we have so much to catch up on. You are experiencing a real-time edition of the Tom Kelly Show. I am in New York City, despite the Bahamian hat that I am wearing right now. I have been releasing new shows every week, every few days, or whatever you want to call it, whatever our schedule has been, Mondays and Wednesdays. By the way, if you're new to the show for some reason, and this is the first time you're experiencing the Tom Kelly Show podcast, hit subscribe now. I'm one comedian fixing up life. The long-term story on this podcast is, for those of you who don't know much about who I am, I'm a stand-up comedian. I used to work at a TV show, The View, as their warm-up comedian. Then I gave that up to go work at Good Morning America, to work at two different TV shows they had there, Good Morning America, and then what is now called GMA 3. That went well. And then, and then the pandemic came and shut down show business. And then as the world reopens, somebody else has my old job at The View, and that's fine. And Good Morning America not bringing back a daily audience. So this podcast has been about my reinvention. This is an opportunity to grow and an opportunity to transform yourself. And it's funny because this week, the last couple of weeks, while I've been airing pre-taped episodes of the show, I've actually been going backward and forward through time. Name that Star Trek episode, nerds. But yeah, I fell into a pile of luck. There's a very talented person who took my old job at The View, and she's doing great with it. And long story short, The View is celebrating their 25th anniversary in the Bahamas. And something came up where she wasn't available, and I got to sub in doing my old job. And folks, if you want to sub in at your old job, do it when they're going to the Bahamas, because that just makes it feel great. But about 3 or 4 years ago, I chose to leave, and I kind of left quickly and did the Irish exit for a few reasons. You know, I didn't say goodbye. And God, going back to hang out at The View and do my old job in the Bahamas, that was the goodbye party you always dreamed of, or the quick reunion party, whatever you want to call it. And what was fun about the show was the shows themselves were hot. They looked great on television. And the nice thing about that audience, I think it was like 90-degree heat for all 4 shows that we taped down there. But despite that, the cool thing about having a 80% Bahamian-born audience is nobody really cared about the heat except for me. And I actually wore shorts while performing. And that's a funny one with comedians. Why can't comedians wear shorts? Like, I've done a lot of outdoor shows. Like, if I wore shorts to Good Morning America, I feel like that would be frowned upon. The crew wears long pants. The cameramen and women wear long pants, blah, blah, blah. Why can't I wear shorts? By the way, why is my tone going up to Andy Rooney levels there? Why can't I wear shorts? But there you go. But I did wear, this was a gift from my friend Ashley in wardrobe. It was a loaner hat. I think they bought this for somebody else on the show as a costume, and then they gave it to me to wear. And I think there's sort of a policy on I can't return headgear. So I think I made an extra $50 on this hat. So there you go. That makes up for all of the bad accounting I did on tracking my expenses. I got a beautiful room. Let me give some compliments here. The Bahamar Resort. Let's see if they'll sponsor this little podcast. The Bahamar Resort. They put me up in the Grand Hyatt Hotel. The room overlooked the water. You could see the cruise ships coming in, and man, that's what I needed. And I guess the real 2 or 3 behind the scenes pieces of information I could give you is everybody was happy. Like Whoopi was out amongst the people, on the casino floor, hanging out, dancing with friends. We had a nice night at a piano bar where there were a couple of great bands there. Sonny Hostin was out among the people. My friend Joy Behar, and my friend Enza, and they sort of talked about this on TV. They were playing blackjack. They did have some great casino options there. And the fun part about playing blackjack with Joy Behar is I actually probably played for an hour or so and lost all of $15. Met 2 beautiful, age-appropriate women from California and Sarasota, Florida, about 5 minutes after I left Joy and Enza, and I think I lost $100 in 3 minutes. It was pretty much that bad. And not only did I lose money at the table, but it turned out both women were married. So boom, there you go. Yeah, not much in the way of single women for me there. But if you go with your family though, amazing water park, and a fun and sad one. I climb a lot of the water park things are meant for 2 people to go down a slide. And I carried a 2-person tube up the top of this, like, let's make it a 5-story staircase. And I get there and the lifeguard at the top of the water slide is like, you need somebody to go with. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Stand there for an hour and wait for somebody's friend? Wait for a kid to go down with me? That just felt creepy. In fact, Quinnipiac listeners, you'll remember a guy, Flume Harris. And you know what? I'm going to give out the real name because this story made the papers. He was a Hasidic Jewish guy who had to be on some form of a spectrum. His dad was a professor at college at my Quinnipiac University. And I think the story goes that Bloom might have been a student there for a longer period of time than most students. And I think he was known for having a record of going down a flume waterside. God, I got to work on my speech therapy again. A water slide. But he had the record at like Great Adventure going down a water slide. And I think he did, he had the record for like the most flumes in a day. Thus, he became known as Flume Harris. I can't even remember his real first name. I'm going to go down a Facebook rabbit hole on this one later. But I know the story made the newspapers years after we graduated that Flume may have gone up to a family and said, "Can I borrow one of your kids?" And he creeped the family out, and I think he got kicked out of that particular water park because people started screaming, "Oh my God, kid toucher," when in fact he's just a weird guy who likes to go down water slides. But anyway, thank God for View lighting director Jim Gallagher, a man who I've always enjoyed. I mean, I guess I'm giving away too much about him, but he's a surfer. He lives in the Rockaways, which is adjacent to Breezy Point, which is a very beachy neighborhood that I was attached to when I was growing up as a kid in Brooklyn. And he sees me alone in the water park, and he's like, "Come on, Tom, I'll take you down some of the cool slides." And he was very nice. And there you go. Bahamar. Take your kids. At least take your even-numbered groups of kids to Bahamar, and it was a treat. And everybody there, everybody at that resort, like it is you hear the stereotype about Bahamian kindness, and gosh, it's true at that resort. I would really love to go back. a couple of things made me antsy towards the end of the trip. Mike Rivera, who is a comedian I know from Florida, but he won a contest at The View to be the funniest teacher in America. And to speed through the story, 11:30 at night, after a week of trying to break into this comedy club at the other resort that I'm not going to name because I want a sponsorship from Bahamar. This guy, Mike Rivera, calls me up. He said, "Hey, Craig Robinson was a guest on The View today. He stopped by this comedy club I'm at. Do you want to perform tomorrow night?" And I'm like, no. No. I wanted to stay longer, but I just had anxiety changing my travel plans so last minute. And and I think that's also the secret to a good trip. End on a high note. And another high note, I don't think any of these men listen to the show, but shout outs to my friend Gary, Andy, Nick, and Mike, and Sean, who were at the airport and heard my name getting paged while I was in the resort with Gary. They were all afraid that they were changing my flight and whatnot, and I was getting kicked off a plane or getting detained in another country or something like that. It turned out JetBlue was just overpaging me because they wanted to upgrade me to the exit row seat. And because I guess there was some sort of a deal where there was a kid who wanted to sit next to the person who was next to me. Anyway, all you need to know is I have a love-hate relationship with sitting next to the exit door. I love it because they give you the extra leg room. I don't like that idea of I'm the most responsible person and that somehow I'm in charge of helping the flight attendants evacuate the plane. And if the plane goes down and, oh my gosh, you have to pay an extra $30 for that rank and privilege. Balderdash, people. Balderdash. I think that means BS, right? I'm trying not to say BS. By the way, I love looking at myself in the camera and seeing my adorable hat and tan. I love my gray hair with my tan. Just a side note, but I'm hot, America. I'm hot. So, yeah, I guess a few things before I go down. If you get a chance and you haven't listened already on one of the episodes we've done recently, go listen to episode 211 with my friend Jeanette Barber. My friend, mentor, former Rosie O'Donnell head writer, brilliant comedian, best-selling author, whatever you want. She had a great line of advice that has been handy for me the last couple of days, and it's creating the perception of success. So even the way I told the story on today's show that, I'm having a great year if I frame it right verbally. I mean, I freelanced in California, performed at the $100,000 Pyramid. I got recruited for a comedy festival. I have met amazing people, and frankly, I've headlined at a number of comedy clubs, and honestly, I have a hit podcast enjoyed by many of you good people. And that episode, that piece of advice was very useful before going back to freelance at a job that you left. Because, listen, I would love something more stable. I don't think the New York or frankly the national talk show market has any openings for a job like I used to have at Good Morning America. So you have to phrase it, and I can't tell you how many times I said it here at The View and how many times I said it on Friday when I was doing my old job once a week at the Good Morning America Summer Concert Series, which I'll hit on in a minute. But instead of saying, oh, I'm looking for work, I say, oh, I'm enjoying freelancing and I'm looking for something more permanent in September, if you hear of anything. And honestly, I am enjoying freelancing. I'm enjoying the concept of not being chained to a place. I am having trouble being a little bit rudderless right now, but I actually accidentally saw a psychic the other day. For those of you, I was with a friend of mine, Joe. We stopped past a psychic who was a former lawyer who Joe said gave him a minute or two reading once that he found useful. We'll have him tell his story another time. And I decided I wanted to go in and sniff her out to see if I could have this woman. Her name is Winterbrook. She's in Northport. I can't remember her last name off the top of my head, but I wanted to sniff her out to see if she'd be good for the podcast and should I do a reading on the podcast. And she mentioned, or at least we gave it meaning. She mentioned I had a friend who we assumed to be our friend Father Lou, a dead priest. And I guess Lou's line for me was Lou's line through her was I need to pick what I want to do. She suggested I start meditating, which I just got the 10% Happier app. Any of you guys using a meditating app, please comment or send me an email, TomKellyShow@me.com, or tweet me at TomKellyShow. What meditating app are you using? I would love to get, I'll give you this homework, guys. If you can tweet Dan Harris and the people at 10% Happier, I would love to have him on the podcast. I read his book, 10% Happier, a while ago and found it useful. And I found, and Dan actually set me up with a meditation center. And again, pre-pandemic, I was probably going to a meditation center once a week. I wasn't doing it aggressively enough. I think this app might be better for me. I know my friend Josh suggested the Calm app. I'm rambling a bit here, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do? So, God, I want to tell you more about, I'll do it short. I'll do it short here. So I went back. Anyway, the positive advice, create the perception of success. Went back and did the Good Morning America Summer Concert Series. I opened for the K-pop band Aespa. Man, they were fantastic. It's a K-pop all-girl band, so Korean pop music. The music is catchy. I actually like one of their songs, Level Up. Am I doing that right, K-pop fans? Level Up. And then the kids in the crowd were teaching me the Korean I love you sign, which I think is the Korean heart. I don't think I'm doing it there. I think I might have just said, go F yourself in sign language. But yeah, it's like you put the thumb in front of it, you make a little heart and you do that. I think that's it. It's kind of similar to the Italian money sign. But anyway, it was so good to see all these people I haven't seen in years. I saw TJ Holmes, the anchor of GMA3, Amy Robach for a second or two. I had a nice chat with TJ, a nice chat with my friend Kyle, my friend Maria, a bunch of the camera guys, our legendary sound guy, Chris Murphy, just a lot of great people. And the moral of the story is, people, using Jeanette's line, repeating the advice, create the perception of success. And honestly, if you really think about it, folks, if you have time to listen to this darn show or watch it on your phone, odds are you're successful. Ending on a couple of the funny things and the most heartwarming things in the crowd. Good Morning America used to have a guy outside the crowd. His name is Bobby. And Bobby would go to all of the concerts in Central Park, and then he would stand outside the Times Square studio every day. And if you look close, you could always see him waving. He would always wear these orange King's Hawaiian glasses that he got for free at a GMA concert. And Bobby is on the spectrum. Pure-hearted guy who loves GMA. And there's a weirdness to him. You would think he was homeless, but the story goes he might be in an adult home on Long Island and have parents who actually take good care of him. But for whatever reason, every day Bobby goes from Queens or wherever his adult care center is and goes to Good Morning America to watch the show from the windows or go to the concert and watch the concert. And he was a guy that I was sure would be dead after the pandemic. I mean, especially at the beginning of it. And I say this without joking. I mean this in a heartfelt way. But he didn't strike me as a guy who would be taking the pandemic seriously. Like, I got laid off, and you could just see in a few wide shots that he was still going on the Long Island Railroad to Times Square. Anyway, I mean, that's a big one. You really thought, man, this is a guy who, if COVID were really as contagious as we all thought it was, that's the guy you would say he's going to die. And in a heartwarming way, there he is. As I'm staring at the crowd of 4,000 or 5,000 people, I saw him in the back and it made my day. And you got to understand, Bobby, Nobody knows what his deal is exactly. I know for sure I've seen him in Long Beach picking recyclables out for and like recycling bottles in the middle of Long Beach. Then I know someone else who saw him on a random afternoon in northern Queens. I mean, he's everywhere. He is like living Where's Waldo, unless he has clones. Closing in on the end of the show, I really wanted to end on something funny. But Good Morning America, it felt so good to be back. I'm going to release a mini episode with a quick street walk in Point Pleasant, New Jersey, headlined at Uncle Vinny's. That was a great time. I'm back there again in October. If you're feeling crazy, leave them a Google review saying you heard Tom Kelly's working there a lot, and give him 5 stars and say, when is Tom Kelly performing there again? And a special, let me magic mirror for a minute now, even though I'm going to end on something funny. So hang on for 1 minute. Magic mirror time, ladies and gentlemen. Magic mirror time. I see Scott from Massachusetts, who is a podcast listener. Thank you for coming out to see me at Uncle Vinny's. I see my friend John from The View, who has an amazing pair of glasses from Muscat. Better than my Warby Parker / Oliver Peoples glasses. You looked good, John, and it was good to see you and your son and your degenerate nephew looking so happy. And more importantly, special thanks to Marianne, who has been tweeting and emailing a number of comedy clubs on my behalf. And she's broken down 1 million walls for me, and I could use 1,000 more Marianne's. And again, your homework, if you feel like doing it, tweet Dan Harris, Instagram Dan Harris, tag me at Tom Kelly Show, and say you would love to see Dan Harris on this podcast. And then also special Magic Mirror shout out to Justin Lewis, who probably doesn't listen to this podcast, but he lives in Point Pleasant. He's a radio legend down there and starting a new career in public relations. And Justin had a great story he just put on Facebook where he's writing little promotional emails. And I guess there's a computer program that looks at his emails and says, you are writing at a 12th grade level, and our customers, for this matter, usually reply better if you write at a 4th grade level. Can you make your writing more simple? Boom. Welcome to America, friends. But I'm going to end, hopefully, on the funny. And I'm going to end on a piece of hate mail that I got. I may have told this story on the show before, but I'm half working on this as a stand-up bit. The bit kind of works with the crowd, and maybe you guys will tell me if this works. But very short story. Is I took a picture and I put it in my Instagram stories, and it was a picture of my shower, the water's running, and the caption says, is there anything worse than getting naked and finding out you have no hot water right when you're about to shower? And a woman named Mary Claire Barkley of Wichita, Kansas, sends me a picture of a tank invading the Ukraine. And then she writes me a few messages saying, Tom, I think you're a little bit tone deaf. I think Kim Kardashian went through something like this, and I never thought I would hit a point in my life where I'm starting to identify with Kim Kardashian a little bit. I mean, we're just, geez, really, man? It's an expression. Is there anything worse than? Yes, Mary Claire Barkley of Wichita, Kansas. There are things worse than getting naked, turning on the shower, and finding out you have no hot water. I made a list. War. Hunger. Disease. Mass shootings. Sex trafficking, the Russian government, the Chinese government, a lot of people in the American government, 5 out of 9 members of the Supreme Court, gas prices, animal abuse, candy corn, the Department of Motor Vehicles, the word moist, people who use the left blinker while they're in the left lane. Putting together IKEA furniture That feeling when you have to sneeze and you can't. Robocalls. Mary Claire Barkley of Wichita, Kansas, who can't take an effing joke. And then right under that, mayonnaise and fanny packs. So that's about it, folks. I think this podcast was a little bit longer than I like it to be, but there was so much to catch up on. Listen, you know how it works, people. I feed on your engagement. I feed on the view counter of this thing going up. I feed on new people coming in. So whatever you can do to spread the word, it is appreciated. And you know what? Since I'm in the mood, let me end on a commercial that isn't a commercial. Do you like snacks? Do you like brownies? Go to my friend Kelly Banks. KellyBanksCakes.com. She is the official brownie of Michael Strahan. She's a friend of Michael Strahan's, and Strahan has been so nice to me over the last few months, and he's a billionaire. There's nothing nice I can do for him, so let me do something nice for one of Strahan's friends, Kelly Banks. KellyBanksCakes.com. She makes the most amazing brownies. I love the ones with the peanut butter in them, okay? I often send them as a thank you gift to friends, and she's just a mom working out of her house, so you're making a mom a couple of bucks. She is not paying for this commercial, but if there's enough response from this commercial, I'm gonna start charging her. So that's about it. You guys are awesome, and thank you for being a part of my journey. I am Tom Kelly. I am one comedian, fixing life. And until Wednesday's episode, I'm across the board as Tom Kelly Show. Lots of internet surprises on TikTok, Instagram, and whatnot. And until I see you again, good night, New York.